How is everyone? It is good to be back. I had an exciting weekend last weekend. My son James graduated from Ouachita Baptist University in Arkansas, so I was able to drive down there, see that, and come back. And it was a great weekend. We had Cole graduated from Mount Union on the same day, and it was hard. So I had to FaceTime Misty for Cole's, and then she FaceTimed me for James, and but it was good. It was a great weekend, and I have heard just nothing but good things. So thank you, Melissa, for the wonderful message last week. And it's when you're gone and the person who speaks said, "Oh, they did a really good job." I mean, they did a really, really good job. I mean, it was really good, and they say it a bunch of times. They're like, "Oh, okay, well there you go." So, yeah. Listen. So but I have put James right to work. James is helping with our youth this summer, and so he is actually going to be out there this morning with the crew. And so if you are a teenager and you're in here for worship, as soon as worship is done, make your way out to the youth house. I may not remember to say that when we get time for our message. So as soon as the music's done, you can go on out. A couple of things I do want to mention. Impact Massillon's coming up very quickly, and we're very excited about that. In your bulletin, we have our prayer walk, which is not just us, but it's everyone who's really involved in Impact Massillon, and they offer it at different times. And really, the idea is to walk and to pray that God would do just an amazing thing in the month of June, that we would just have an incredible experience. And so that begins tomorrow. First one's at 6:00 p.m., and then there is one on Wednesday at 9:30, and then there's another one on Thursday at 2 p.m., and that schedule is going to continue all the way through until June 11th. Will they do that on Memorial Day too, that Monday? Or are they not going to do that on that Monday? Joan, will that be? Oh, Mark, they're not here. So if you already have Memorial Day plans, then probably not that. But Monday at 6, Wednesday at 9:30, Thursday at 2 p.m. We're going to have a great Memorial Day service next week. We're looking forward to that tremendously. Just all the things we have planned. I'm really, really excited about everything that's going to happen for that service. Graduate Sunday is going to be the 31st. That's going to be an active day. We are also... that weekend, we're going to start unbolting the pews, and so I have no idea what it's going to look like that morning. You'll have somewhere to sit. I will say that you'll be somewhere you can sit. Yeah, and we all have to sit floor in the Indian style. But if you're available, we're going to try. We have the Massillon Tiger football team is going to come help us move them on Sunday from noon to 2. But we have to have them unbolted, and so we're going to try to make sure we have all those unbolted up there. That probably the balcony probably will not be open. I love all y'all balcony folk, but that probably won't be open on the 31st. So just sort of know that we'll probably take those out first, and then most of these will probably be unbolted as well, just to make it easier. So again, what that looks like that Sunday morning is going to be great. But we're also going to do Graduate Sunday that Sunday as well. That's very exciting. And so we have 4 folks who are graduating high school and college. So if you know of someone else that we need to recognize, do please let us know so we can make sure that we have them ready for that. In your bulletin, there is something called summer school, and you're not in trouble. You did not fail anything. But what I'm wanting to do is, I have about 4 or 5, or actually probably 6 different things that I wanted to do or teach or have, and I couldn't come up with like 6 series, and so I just threw it all in a pot, and we're going to have summer school. And so during the Wednesdays in June and July, and really into the first week of August, we're going to have these Wednesday night sessions. They're going to start at 6:30, go to about 8 o'clock. The good news and the bad news, or they're just news. You don't have to come to all of them. Okay, there's 10 of them. You can look down the list and pick the ones that are interesting to you. And so it's not like, hey, if you miss the first week, it's going to mess you up or anything like that. And so it's just going to be a lot of fun. So the first Wednesday is about prayer, just prayer, quiet time journals. If you've always sort of, hey, I love to pray, I'm just not real organized about it, I don't really have a rhythm, we'll talk a little bit about that. On June 10th, I'm going to do a session with Cole. We're going to talk technology. And so we're going to talk about your phones, we're going to talk about email, we're going to talk about scams, we're going to talk about viruses, how do you navigate stuff. We'll even talk a little bit about AI and just any questions you have. And so I would say this, if you come to that session, bring your phone password. That's a very important thing. And so if you need to do anything on that. But Cole's going to show you, if you've ever wondered what all your phone can do, he's going to show you some of that. And that's going to be that night. On the next week, I'm going to talk about ARC. Why do I do ARC? Why do we do acts of random kindness? Where did that whole thing come from? And so I'll give you sort of a backstory on that. The next week, we're going to talk about the 5 love languages. We'll do a little one-night session on the love languages. So that's appropriate for couples, but it's also appropriate for families and everything. And then when we get into July, I have a gentleman coming from a group called Church Funerals Direct. We're going to talk about how to do weddings and funerals as a mode of evangelism and outreach. So that's going to be just an incredible night for that. The following week is going to be the Bible for grown-ups, just how to study on your own. If you've ever just sort of wondered, like, how do I just start in a book and just start studying? And so there's a devotional approach and there's a study approach, and we'll sort of talk through that. And then we're going to have a night of worship. Mike's going to lead us on a night of worship. That's going to be fun. And then the close out, I'm going to do a 3-week little mini session on the book of Revelation. And we'll see. If it goes into 4 weeks, I'll do more from that. But that is sort of the plan. So make sure you sort of look at that, make plans for that. It's going to be something fun to do. Do what? I didn't see a time. Oh, it's on the back. In the back, in the insert. So there's a whole schedule on the back in the insert. Oh, the times. They're all 6:30. 6:30 on those Wednesdays. So. And I think that is it. Oh, what I do need to do is I need you to stay after service for just a minute. We're not going into like a business meeting, but there are 2 important things I do need to talk to you about. One of them is our organ, and the other one is a little bit about cybersecurity and us as a church community. So after the benediction, I'm going to ask you to just sit down. I'm going to make sure my sermon does not go very long today. Don't hold me to that. But so just do stay. I just need you to stay for about 5 minutes. It's a little bit longer than a normal announcement time, so just do keep that in mind. And if you have to go, you have to go. But I would like to have as many of you just stay for a little bit, so I can just inform you about some of that, and obviously as we go into renovation mode and all of that. So with that, let's go. Let's start.
You guys remember when we had 4 seasons? Now we have winter, lazy winter, summer, and then back to winter at some point. But this is the day that the Lord has made, regardless of humidity and sunburns and all of it. I'm ready for it all. So, would you stand? You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Sing, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you are. 'Cause you are a waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 Every battle's yours.
Every battle's yours before it even comes. When the arrows fly, you will stand in front, 'cause you will make a way where there isn't one. Though it's hard to see, I still believe it's done. I can't do it, but the great I am can. I can't do it, but the great I am can. Who can move the mountain? Who can split the ocean? I can't do it, but the great I am can.
I've been here before.
Well, I've been here before. I know how this ends. It's not if you will. I'm convinced it's when. 'Cause you have made a way, and you will again. 'Cause you're holding my tomorrow in your hands. And a faithful God is all you've ever been. I can't do it, but the great I am can. I can't do it, but the great I am can. Who can move a mountain? Who can split the ocean? I can't do it, but the great I am can.
Sing, if I ask anything in your name.
If I ask anything in your name, you can do it. Only you. If I have just a little bit of faith, you can move it. Mountain, move. If I ask anything in your name, you can do it. Only you. If I have just a little bit of faith, you can move it. Mountain, move. If I ask anything in your name, you can do it. Only you. If I have just a little bit of faith, you can move it. Mountain, move. If I ask anything in your name, you can do it. Only you. If I have just a little bit of faith, you can move it. Mountain, move.
Say, I can't do it, but.
I can't do it, but the great I am can. I can't do it, but the great I am can. Who can move a mountain? Who can split the ocean? I can't do it, but the great I am can. Even in the fire, I can see the fourth man. I can't do it, but the great I am can.
Higher than the mountains that I face.
Stronger than the power of the grave. Constant in the trial and the change. One thing remains. One thing remains.
It's your love.
It's your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out of me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me.
Sing on and on and on it goes.
And on and on and on and on it goes. Oh, it overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I never ever have to be afraid. One thing remains. One thing remains.
Your love,
'Cause your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me.
sing in death and in life.
In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love.
Your love
Never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me.
your love.
'Cause your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me.
You may be seated.
Opportunity to gather, for this opportunity to be in this place that you have provided for us. God, we know it is not simply just the idea of gathering every Sunday, but this is a launch pad. It is a preparation spot for us to go and do the things that you have called us to do. And may you remind us, may you renew us, may you call us again to do the things in this community that we are meant to do. God, we pray that you would bless our offering this morning, and that this would be a visible sign of support and acknowledgement that we are in a partnership with you, that we are continually doing what you have called and created us to do and to be. And all this we pray in your name. Amen. 2 weeks, what that really means in my world is that the jokes pile up, and you have to sort of clean them out of the system. And so I have a smattering of Mother's Day jokes, and I heard there was some good ones last week. That both of you actually, so almost like a proud father. I feel good that you guys carried on the tradition. But I have some Mother's Day and some graduation stuff that I'm going to share with you this morning. And so there is a place that I follow, and they collect text messages. These are real text messages that teenagers have sent to their parents, and so I have some Mother's Day ones and some graduation ones. So the Mother's Day ones, these are real text messages from teenagers that were sent to their loving, caring, wonderful mothers on Mother's Day. The first one: "Hey Mom, I was going to buy you flowers, but the light turned green." Another child took a lot of time and effort on this one, and he sent a text message to his mother that had 3 letters: HMD. Happy Mother's Day. Another very kind, gracious teenager sent this message: Mom, you can clean the kitchen tomorrow. Another one sent a message that said, "Happy Mother's Day, dude." Another one said, "Happy Mother's Day, I know you try your best." Ooh. Another one took it a step further, said, "How am I even still alive? I have seen your plans." Wow. Another one sent a message: "What is the Netflix password? Oh, and Happy Mother's Day." Happy Mother's Day, did you move my charger? There you go. And then there's some graduation ones that I thought were appropriate. There's a lot of folks who have had graduation, and Talon and other high schoolers are graduating this week as well. So graduation messages. Would you be mad if I took money to fall on stage at graduation? That's a real message. Okay. Another one said, "Please don't come to graduation. There won't be any other parents there." That's weird. Okay. "Why do they keep asking me if I ordered my cabin gown?" Cabin gown. Okay. How many valedictorians will there be at graduation? And then someone said, "Ryan is getting indicted into Phi Beta Kappa." So that one works. And then finally, so heartfelt: "Don't be extra and clap and scream at graduation. Nobody does that anymore." So there you go. Just heartfelt messages from teenagers today. So our reading this morning, we're in between series, and so we're like this week and the next couple of weeks we're just doing some one-off messages until we get into the month of June and we have a more consecutive set of weeks. But I'm doing a message today. It's going to be out of the book of Genesis, and it's in Genesis chapter 18. In Genesis, obviously, the first book of the Old Testament. And so Genesis chapter 18, and it's an interesting setting. There's a conversation that is taking place between God and Abraham. And I'm going to read most of the passage to you, and then we're going to spend some time going through it. So Genesis chapter 18, starting verse 16. "Then the men set out from there, and they looked down toward Sodom. And Abraham was with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, 'Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have chosen him, that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice.' so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has promised him. Verse 20. Then the Lord said to him, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry that has come to me. And if not, I will know. Verse 22. So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be it from you, shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the Lord said, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham answered and said, behold, I've undertaken to speak to the Lord, I who am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again, he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Verse 30. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found there. He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, behold, I've undertaken to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. Then he said, O Lord, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again, but this once. Suppose there are 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. This is the word of the Lord. I'm going to move from the pulpit today to a very interesting spot. And I'm going to move to, this is a poker table, okay? Now, before y'all, send emails or throw stones or anything like that, I'm not a gambler, okay? I don't know how to gamble. If there was a Uno gambling, I could do that. I could figure that out, okay? So I'm not, this is not going to be a new, euchre's probably enough. Now, I've seen the card games that play here in the fellowship hall. Those get a little interesting, and you know who you are. So, but I've always been fascinated by the whole card game thing, the whole poker thing, the whole idea of bluffing. I'm a huge fan of the Ocean's 11 movies. You ever seen the, I'm a fan of the old ones, like Frank Sinatra, the old classic one. Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, all those. I love all those. I love the bank heist, and, it's they're going to break in, they're going to knock over the casino, they're going to do all that stuff. And when I was working through this passage, I realized that there's something going on here that actually can connect to one of my favorite things. And so I've asked Mike to help me a little bit. Mike, have a seat at the poker table. Okay, we're gonna bet on his paycheck this week.
He gambled when he hired me.
Right.
We'll put that in there.
Real quick, just how does this work? I'm not a poker player. But how does this work? How does the game of poker work? Here, look at this shark. Oh my gosh.
The game of poker. Now, before we do that real quick, these tables are extra special because they're 200% wool. These sheep led a double life. But I thought I'd get a better reaction at that one. But hey, anyway. So, the objective of poker is to win the pot.
Okay.
The total chips bet in hand. You are dealt cards. You could trade in some, but you're trying to do the best you can with what you've been handed.
Okay.
But you don't know what you're getting until you have it. You don't know what everyone else at the table is getting until they get it. Now, it's all based off of strategy.
Yep.
The strategy is going to be defined here as the bluff. The bluff is betting or raising with a weak hand that is unlikely to win at what is referred to as the showdown, the grand finale of each hand, the round. The goal is to force your opponents with better hands to fold. Now, it's all being dealt to you by what we refer to as the house. And you have to trust that the house is not cheating.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust that while the house is neutral, essentially they're there to not help you win, but to equip you to win. You have a pure bluff, a semi-bluff, when to bluff. A pure bluff is betting with absolutely no chance of winning at all. You're sitting on a pile of nothing, and you say, well, I'm going to work my best tricks here to try to fool everyone else into thinking I've got something wonderful and forcing them to fold. A semi-bluff is betting with a weak hand that currently has no value but could get better before you trade in what you have. And when to bluff is going to work against what's referred to as a tight player who are cautious with their chips and what they have, and in situations where your bet represents a hand that makes sense for the community cards at the table.
You're good at this.
I don't gamble either. I see
No,
that.
that's it. Yeah, yeah, you fooled us. All right, so how many are in a hand?
Typically in a hand, you're going to have 5 cards.
Okay, then we're gonna go 1,
Uno.
2.
These cards are marked.
Yeah, they are. 5. So we have a hand here. So I'm looking at my cards. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what's a good hand?
So, good could be defined as many different things, but it's going to raise in what's called a hierarchy. So your lowest is going to be 2 pair, or actually 1 pair technically. You have 2 cards of either of the same number, or 2 jacks, 2 queens, whatever. Then you go up to 2 pair, 3 of a kind, which are 3 cards of the same, 4 of a kind, 4 cards of the same. Then you're moving up into flushes and straight flushes, where you have 5 cards of different numbers but with the same suit. Then it goes up into 5 straight cards with the same suit and same numbers, and then you'll have trump cards and things like that too.
All right, so if I don't like something that I have,
Yes.
what do I do?
You would trade it into the house, and they will give you a replacement card. You can trade up to 3.
Okay.
Depending on your rule set, you can trade up to 3.
All right, so if I say I don't like these 3 cards, you don't even know what those are. You're not looking at
I
them.
don't know.
Okay. So I don't like those 3, so I'm going to take 1, 2, 3. And then I am going to figure out, ooh, my goodness, I actually do have some good stuff.
So this would be example of a terrible bluff because he's reacting. The term poker face.
Right. So I
is
did. So
not
I just.
here.
I should have. What
Right.
should I have done? I should have.
So
just
what
been
you
like,
would typically have done in this case would be pause.
So if I do like the excited thing, yeah, like that's not a good thing.
That would be a poor reaction.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I got a good hand.
Or that.
Yeah. Don't say that. So, and all right. So based on what I have, if I think I've got something good, then I would bet based on what I think I have versus what you have.
Right. So
Okay.
obviously, if you think you have a really good hand, you're going to put in more, or if you actually have a good hand, you're going to put in more because you're expecting to get it back.
Okay. All right. So I bet this amount. These are just $1 chips, by the way. So I'm gonna bet this, and then you would see, oh, he bet that. Then you would
I would
have
then
to
look at my hand, and I would either match it or raise it depending on the quality of my own hand.
Okay. So then you would put yours in, and then we just sort of go from there until one of us folds or lay down your cards.
As to whether it depends on if you are bluffing or if you're being honest. If your bluff pays off before the showdown, that's when you're trying to force your other opponent to fold.
This is very complicated. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. That was perfect.
Thanks.
If you want any other gambling tips, visit Mike.
Google's a wonderful thing. Let me
He'll
tell
have
you.
it. He'll have an app out later that explains all this. Now, thank you. Now, what the heck does this have to do with Genesis chapter 18? When I spent time in this passage, one of the realities, this is a passage in Genesis that, along with many other passages in Genesis, this isn't a safe story. This isn't a bedtime story. You know, there are lots of stories in Genesis that are bedtime. You know, Adam and Eve, the garden, Noah's Ark. It's always an amazing thing to me how many parents have decorated their nurseries with Noah's Ark and all the animals. It's so cute. If you actually read the end of the Noah's Ark story, it turns very weird very fast, and it just sort of leads in, and there's like strange story after strange story after strange story. But then you get out of all those sort of Noah's Ark stories and the Tower of Babel and all those kinds of things. Those are really the first sort of 10 chapters of the book of Genesis, and then you get to chapter 11. And it slows down tremendously. Instead of looking at creation and floods and towers and all these different things, the story focuses very, very tightly on one person. His name is Abram. And God comes to Abram and he says, Abram, I'm going to choose you. You are the one that I'm going to make a great nation out of. And he promises Abram three very important things. He says, I'm going to promise you land, I'm going to promise you fame, and I'm going to promise you children. And so that promise has extended to today. If you do not know that promise extends to today, you have not looked at the news at any point today or yesterday or the last 50 years. That land that was promised to Abraham is still on the front page, if there is a front page, or on the front part of your app, whatever you're looking at your news. And Abraham is indeed famous. You know how I know we're talking about Abraham today? That's how we know that Abraham is famous. We're still talking about him today. And then he says, I'm going to give you children. And so you would assume that if a guy like that has those kinds of things happen to him, you know, and I've heard people say this before. If God showed up to me, oh my God, I would do anything. I'd sell my stuff. I'd move to another country. I would do whatever. It would change my life. And you would assume that if you met God face to face, it would completely change your life. And it did. It did change Abram's life. But Abram is an interesting guy. Abram is not necessarily the highest of moral character. He is certainly someone who has had challenging ethical moments. And when God promised Abraham some things, his name was formerly Abram, when God promised him things, there were times where he did what he could to try to cheat on it, to try to speed it up, to try to sort of figure out how we can sort of get around this. There was one time in Genesis chapter 16, just a few chapters before this, where Abraham he's told to go to the promised land, but they have to go through Egypt. And he's with his wife Sarah. And in this story, it's bizarre. On their way into Egypt, Abraham says to his wife Sarah, says, hey, you're a good-looking lady, which is a great thing that you should say to your wife. This is a great thing, okay? We're going in to Egypt. You're such a good-looking lady. They might try to kill me and take you. They might try to take you and give you to Pharaoh. And so what I want you to do is this. When we go in, I need you to tell them you're my sister. Okay? Now, this is a weird car conversation. If you've ever had weird car conversations with your spouse, this is probably the weirdest, okay? Hey, when we get there, we get checked in, unload the bags. By the way, tell them at the front desk, you're my sister. That story does not go well. In fact, they go in, and the officials of Egypt, they think she's beautiful. And just hope to all of you, when this story takes place, God comes to Abraham when he is the age of 75. Sarah is the age of 65. So this 75-year-old and the 65-year-old are going into Egypt, and he is concerned that she is that attractive that he's got to make up this story. So if any of you are in that ballpark, just, you're beautiful. Today, you're beautiful. Just sort of know that. Okay? So they go in, and of course, everybody says, hey, she's gorgeous. You need to do something about this. And so they said, well, they ask Abraham, they say, this is your sister, right? He goes, yep, it's my sister. So they kind of take her. We don't know what all happens to her, okay? But they take her into the palace, and at some point, Pharaoh figures out, really it's a message from God that comes to Pharaoh, says, hey, don't mess with this lady. This is not for you. And then they come back, and Pharaoh says to Abraham, why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me? And he goes, I thought you were going to kill me. And they said, we want nothing to do with you. I want you to get out. And so they basically kicked them out of Egypt. And on their way out the door, Pharaoh also gives Abraham a whole herd of animals. He gives them sheep and goats and cattle and all this stuff. And so on the way out, after lying, he basically gets a startup capital for his new nation, which is great. And so they sort of keep going on their way. Years pass, and eventually the story continues to get worse. God tells Abraham and Sarah, you're going to have a child, and the years start to tick off. Okay, so again, this promise happens when they're 75 and 65. So eventually, the years start ticking off. The decades start ticking off. And if you've ever been around a couple that is trying to have a child, okay, the very fun and blessing of the process of having a child becomes very stressful, becomes very, very, very tense. And so, if people are going to like, fertility clinics and things like that, that whole conversation becomes very hard. So over years, they've been told, you're going to have children, you're going to have a nation. So eventually, they come up with this amazing idea. Sarah comes up with it. Hey, why don't you take my maidservant, Hagar, and you could take her as your wife, and if she has kids, that'll be the kids. That'll be the kid. And Abraham, of course, is a gentleman. He says, there's no way I would ever do that. I would never. No, actually, he did. Oh, okay. That's a great idea. And so, again, this is not bedtime story for anybody very young. And so Abraham says, hey, if that's what you want. And so they go through this process. He marries Hagar. He has a child with her. There's a possibility in Sarah's mind that she's thinking it's his fault. He's probably thinking it's her fault. So again, beautiful marriage talk. And so, so eventually they have this child. Oh, it gets terrible. It gets terrible. I mean, just the arguments and all that. It is just bad. And again, we see the fruit of that decision still in the news today. But we get to Genesis chapter 18. And I want you to imagine this story. This story, I want you to imagine that God and Abraham have actually sat at a table together. And they're actually in this process. They're actually in a high-stakes bluff over what's going on. Now, the city of Sodom and Gomorrah is terrible. It's terrible. There are so many bad things that are going on in that city that Genesis tells us that there's this huge outcry that reaches up to heaven. And it's so bad that it's pretty obvious. God's going to do something to this city. Now, there's one problem with that. Abram's nephew, Lot, is living in the city. And so Abraham comes to God, and there's this conversation. Now, one of the things that's sort of interesting when we think about prayer, one of the things that we do when we pray is we start with some of the stuff that we need. We start with some of the stuff that we're after, some of the stuff that is important to us. That's a lot of times what happens in our prayer time. But in this prayer, this time of prayer, it's a whole different thing. There is a lot at stake. The chips are stacked. The cards have been dealt. And there is tension that is really, really rising. Now, God starts off this story, and he comes to Abraham. And he says this sort of interesting thing. He's, I wonder if I should tell Abraham what I'm going to do. Now, if you've ever been around someone, and they come up to you and they say, you know what, I don't know if I should tell you. Maybe I should tell you what my plans are this evening. You know why they're saying that to you? Because they want to tell you what their plans are this evening. If they had no intention of telling you what their plans were, they wouldn't tell you. But God shows up and he starts this. And this is what's interesting, that the conversation here in this passage, it starts with God. I wonder if I should tell Abram what I'm going to do. In fact, he tells him, I've heard this outcry. There's a terrible thing. There's a terrible thing that's going to happen. And he waits for Abraham to respond. Now, what makes this prayer so different is that a lot of times we're just sort of praying. We sort of just, sometimes people who are not even church people, they'll send up a wish prayer. They'll just send up this random thing. God, if you're there, somewhere in the universe, if you could help me, that kind of thing. But God begins this story. He comes to Abraham first. And Abraham's he's not just speaking blindly. He's not just random. He is getting very specific with this prayer. He's not doing the formal thing. Okay? If any of you have ever been asked to pray, okay, and some of you, if I just asked you to come up here and pray, you would, after service, throw something at me because you would not want that to happen. And when you come up to pray, there's like a prayer, like a thing you got to go through in your mind, like, oh Lord, thou art and you art and whoever art is, but you got to say art and there's a whole process, and we talk different. So if I talk to my friends one way and then you pray, it's got to be you got to change your voice tone and all that. Abraham's prayer is nothing religious. He does not come up to God and say, oh God, creator of the universe, I'm here to no. There's this conversation that happens. And God reveals himself to Abraham, and Abraham has something he has to figure out. He has to figure this out because there's a problem that has happened here. The problem is this, is that he wants something from God. In fact, both of us, all of us, we all have something we want from God. In fact, there's two things we want from God. Okay? The first thing we want from God, and that we appeal to God for, the first thing we want is justice. We want justice. And a lot of times we will go to God and we will bring our justice complaint to God. God, I need you to work on this. Please change this. There are these people out here and they need this. And I wish that you would stop them, or I hope that you would change their minds or change their hearts and bring justice to this situation. There's so much inequality. There's so much that is unfair. In fact, that's a huge word today, the idea of social justice. We have to be the bringers of justice. We have to be the ones that point out where inequality is, and that's our job, to sort of go after that. And we pray that. Some people pray that. Okay? If you've been wronged in any way, the thing that you want is justice. And he knows. He knows that God is just. We know that God is just. He's just. He's righteous. And at the same time, something else is going on. He's worried because he knows that God is just. In fact, at one point he says, will not the judge of all the earth do right? That's a great line. God, I know you're just. I know you're going to set it right. I know. Will not the God of the earth set it right? And he knows too. He knows that this city's bad. Like, this city's bad. I mean, it's bad. And there's very little that's going to happen here. But the other thing that's going on here is he has vested interest. His nephew's there. And somehow he has to thread the needle. And it's the same needle that we all want to have thread for us. I want justice for them. But if you would, could you have a little mercy for me? Could you have a little mercy for my family? Could you have a little mercy for my nephew? You see, he got in the wrong crowd. He just got, just bad decisions. And I told him, you are made up of the 5 people you hang around, and you made bad choices. And, he didn't do all of his homework the right. I don't know what it was. His mother, or something. He just made bad choices. But if you could just, I know you're just. I know you're just. But if you could also have a little bit of mercy for me, for my family. And so he goes into this conversation. The cards have been dealt. The chips have been placed on the table. And he starts this process. Suppose there's 50 people. If there were 50 righteous people in this terrible city, and I know it's a terrible city, if there were 50 righteous people, would you spare them? God says, yeah. If there's 50, I'll spare the city. I know I don't want to be rude, and forgive me if I'm being too bold. And that's sort of amazing that Abraham even does this. That even Abraham, when in this moment, would sort of push this. What if there's 45? 50 minus 5. Would you spare them? For 45, I'll spare the city. I know. Listen, I'm really pushing it here. I'm really pushing it. What if there was 40? What if there was 30? What if there's 20? And he gets down to this point, and at the end of Genesis chapter 18, it's absolutely amazing. Because he gets down to 10. He gets down to 10, and he's looking at his cards. And I know I've been super bold. I've been super bold on this. What if there was 10? Yeah, if you could find 10 righteous people in this city, I'll spare it. And then what's weird about this chapter is that the story ends. It just shuts off. In fact, the last verse, it says, "And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place." What just happened? We just sat here, we did this whole thing. What just happened? The reality is that Abraham has to fold. He has to fold. Because he knows there's not 10. And in fact, if you are a storyteller like I am, you sort of know there's a process where there's building action, there's a climax, there is this huge moment, then there's a resolution. And you get right to this point, and nothing happens. What is going on? Because the reality is that Abraham's sitting there, and he's thinking through in his head, there's nobody good in that city. Because what you think would happen, the natural thing that Abraham should ask at this point is, God, would you do it for one? Would you do it for one person? If you could find one righteous person to sacrifice themselves, if you could find one righteous person in this city, would you spare the city? And in his mind, he is really starting to build something that is absolutely amazing. The idea that there could be something that could take care of the justice part of God. As Paul tells us in the book of Romans, for all have sinned and all have fallen short of the glory of God. That's a huge problem. Guess how many all is? All. Y'all, me, all, y'all. That's all. And Abraham's thinking through his mind. He goes, you know what? Lot, his wife, we know what sort of happens to her a little bit later. And even himself. As a storyteller, I'm waiting for Abraham to say, you know what? Take me. I'm good. I'm good. Would you spare the city if you could find one righteous person, which is me? And then he just remembers what he did in Egypt. Oh, man. Yeah. And then he just remembers how the whole Sarah and Hagar thing went. Oh, wow. Okay. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. And what Abraham is actually setting up for us, this part where he leaves the story hanging for us, we're all looking for something that's missing. What's missing in this story? What's missing in this story is the house. When the house comes up to you, and I've bet all my money, I've lost it. I'm down to my last chip. I've got nothing. I am about to go broke. And all of a sudden, somebody comes up to you and says, you know what? You can keep playing because the house is covering you. Wow. I have an unlimited bank account. I can just keep playing as long as I want. Yep. I'm going to cover your losses. And I'm going to make sure that you are bankrolled moving forward. Because what Genesis 18 is preparing us for is there is only one righteous person who can take care of this story. Oh God, would you show mercy if there was one? Absolutely. And that's Jesus. Jesus is what Abraham was looking for. And when Abraham sort of got to the end of his humanity, he got to the end of his conniving, when he got to the end of his maneuvering, when he got to the end of his brainstorm and how he thinks he's going to bluff and how we've thought of it. You've done this. You've bluffed God before. God, just one more time, if you could just get me, oh my goodness, if you could just get me through today, if you could just get me through this weekend, if you could just give me enough money to pay this bill, if you could just get me out of this one thing, I'll be Saint David moving forward. I promise you. That doesn't work. But if the house comes up to me and says, hey, you're covered, and that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus is the one. God sends his only son to die on a cross for you, for me, so that the rest of the story can be told. There is only one who can save the city. There really is. And that's why we've gathered here this morning. We've not gathered here this morning to gamble. We've not gathered here to sort of go through in our minds, we know if I do enough good things and enough, outweighs the bad things, or maybe if God forgets about these things or whatever, we go through that whole process. And a lot of us spend a lot of our time, a lot of our life, we try to just gamble it, okay? I'm just going to make a couple of bets here. Hopefully I can do some things in my 50s that make up for my 20s, and I can do all. Hey, no, that's not how it works. The good news is you have a house. I have a house that supports me, that has made sure that all my debts are covered, all my debts are paid, and I win because of what that story ending truly is. What Jesus has done for you on the cross, and what Jesus has done for me. Let's pray. God, we thank you that our faith is not a game. Our faith is not a roll of the dice. It's not just a luck of a drawn card. God, we thank you that you are just, that you are the God of the just, and that you are the one who brings and will conduct justice in this world. The things that need to be fixed, the things that need to be repaired, all will be set right. And at the same time, through your great love, your great mercy for us, that you sent your Son to die for us. You sent your Son. And through his death and resurrection, we find redemption. We find peace. And we win because of what you have done for us. And all this we pray in your name. Amen.
Would y'all stand? God sent his Son. They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And then one day I'll cross the river. I'll fight life's fight. No war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I'll know he lives. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. And life is worth the living just because he lives.
Amen. If you be seated for just a second.